Hi again. It's me, Dylan, sitting at my desk once again, making another college app video for you. Today's video is a continuation of what I've been doing recently, where I'm comparing different colleges and pointing out the factors that are more important and less important in admissions. I really want to thank you guys for submitting comments under my community tab when I asked you what schools you were applying to and what colleges you want me to compare in these videos. I've already done comparisons with the Ivy League schools. Here's the video for that. And now I'm going to do the UC schools today. By the way, UC stands for University of California, so these are all the University of California schools. They are public schools. I'll forewarn you, this information is kind of crazy. I was surprised while gathering this information, and it's not what I thought. I kind of was wondering and maybe expecting if the UCs were all gonna have the same criteria, but they don't, and they're so different. Blows my mind. So just for more context, in this video, I'm going to be talking about what is very important, considered, and not considered when admissions officers are viewing your application for specifically the UC schools. It's really good to know this information so that you can compare it against the schools that you're applying to and strategize your application specific to that school. I understand that is a little bit more difficult with the UC application since the whole application goes to every single UC, but at least for the Common App schools, knowing this information can help you strategize specific towards the school because each application is different. But regardless of whether you can strategize or not, I think this information is still really valuable to know, so at least you can maybe strategize the specific schools that you're going for because you know which things that are a little bit stronger on your end for your different factors and what things that the schools value more. When those things align, maybe that'll give you an idea of where to apply. All right, now we have jumped into my OneNote Microsoft document and we're gonna start filling in this chart. Before we get started, I just wanna say that this data is based off of the common data set for 2019 to 2020, unless stated otherwise, except I don't think it's stated otherwise, so that's good to know. It is the most recent data set. If there is a star next to a certain factor, that is because it is unlike the others, or it tends to be varying among the other colleges in this chart. And then if there is a blue highlight, that means it is semi-unique to that college, or it is specifically unique to that college, or it's just like especially interesting to note. The star and the highlight were all put in by me, so that was not included in this common data set thing. Now, let's begin with UCLA. Dun da da da. Under UCLA, for very important, we have rigor, GPA, test scores, and your essay. Makes sense. Under the important section, we have extracurriculars, talent or ability, character or personal qualities, volunteer work, and work experience. And then the things that are considered are whether you are first generation and your geographical residence. The things that are not considered for the UCLA school is class rank, recommendations, the interview, alumni relation, state residency, your racial or ethnic status, and your level of interest. I forgot to note, so I'll note it right now. The things that I put the little black star next to means they're unlike the privates. So for this situation, the alumni status and your ethnicity are not taken into consideration, but pretty much for all the private schools and the Ivy League schools, those two things are taken into consideration. So I think that is really interesting to note, which is a main comparison from the privates to the UCs. Next on our list, we have UC Berkeley. Under very important for UC Berkeley, we have rigor, GPA, test scores, and essay. The same as UCLA. And then for important, we have extracurriculars, your character or personal qualities, volunteer work, or work experience. So unlike UCLA, they did not put talent or ability in this category. Now for what's considered. Recommendations, whether you're first generation, and your state residency. This is different than UCLA in that recommendations, first of all, are taken in consideration when they're completely not for UCLA, and then also the state in which you reside in. Lastly, the things that are not considered are the interview, talent or ability, just not considered at all, alumni relation, your racial or ethnic status, and level of interest. This was shocking to me just for the talent fact that they're not considering that. Okay, let's move on to UC San Diego. The factors that they deem are very important are Rigor, GPA, test scores, and essay. What do you know? Next, under important, we have extracurriculars, talent or ability, character, personal qualities, state residency, and volunteer work. Whoa, state residency just keeps going up the line. Now UC San Diego is saying that state residency is important and not just considered or not considered. Then for the things that are considered are first generation, geographical residence, and work experience. It's interesting to note here that usually volunteer work and work experience go together in these charts, but for UC San Diego, volunteer work is placed at a higher importance than work experience. Now for the things that are not considered are class rank, recommendations, interview, alumni relation, racial or ethnic status, and level of interest. Next on our list is UC Irvine. Let's see what they have to say. Under very important, we have rigor, GPA, test scores, essay. Okay, like the rest. But then extracurriculars, talent or ability, volunteer work, and work experience. Whoa! Now that is super unique compared to all the other UCs we've looked at so far, and I think compared to all the UCs period, that they put these 4 things as very important. Just saying. So that might be something to consider. Next, we're gonna look at what is important. Your character or personal qualities. Okay, makes sense. Next, under considered, we have first generation, geographical residence, and state residency. Then last but not least, we have what is not considered, and for that we have class rank, interview, alumni relation, racial or ethnic status, and level of interest. UC Irvine really stands out in the crowd with this one. But now let's take a look at UC Santa Barbara. For very important, we have GPA, test scores, and essay. They didn't include rigor on this one. Rigor, by the way, means the rigorous courses that you took in high school. And then for important, we have rigor. Okay, there it is. Now for considered, the things that they consider in your application are extracurriculars, talent or ability, character or personal qualities, first generation, geographical residence, state residency, volunteer work, and work experience. These are a lot more things than in the other ones. I mean, the other ones place these at usually a higher importance, but for this, they just put it under considered. So, I don't know, it's interesting to note. And then for not considered, in this category, we have class rank, recommendations, interview, alumni relation, racial or ethnic status, and level of interest. Moving on, we have UC Davis. Let's go. Under very important, we've got rigor, GPA, test scores, and essay. Yup, makes sense, just like the rest. And then under important, we have extracurriculars, talent or ability, character or personal qualities, and volunteer work. So this is looking pretty much like UCLA, I'd say, except for the work experience, which they're gonna put in considered. Yep, like I said, first generation, state residency, and work experience are under considered. And now for not considered, the things are class rank, recommendations, interview, alumni relation, geographical residence, racial or ethnic status, and level of interest. So geographical residence, that is very interesting to note here because in almost all of these, geographical residence is considered for all these other schools, but not for UC Davis. But they do still consider your state residency as seen here. Now let's move on to UC Santa Cruz Banana Slugs. For very important, we've got rigor, GPA, test scores, essay, and state residency. Whoa, that's shocking. To put state residency in very important, usually it's considered, but very important. Now for the important category, we have extracurriculars, talent or ability, character or personal qualities, whether you're first generation, and your geographical residence. This I especially highlighted and starred because, whoa there, this is so unlike the other ones. Usually it's under considered, but now it's actually important. Knowing this information, if you are a first generation student, maybe it would be a good idea to apply to UC Santa Cruz because you might have a higher advantage of getting in. Now, for what is considered, we have volunteer work and work experience, and that's it in this category. And then for not considered, we have class rank, recommendations, interview, alumni relation, racial or ethnic status, and level of interest. Pretty standard. The next one on the list is UC Riverside. Let's take a look at what they deem important. GPA and your essay. And that's it. So I guess they go a little lighter on the test scores maybe? Let's take a look at the important. Rigor. All right, but that's the only thing in that category. So what's considered? Test scores, talent or ability, first generation, and state residency. All right, there we go. There's a lot of things that aren't on this list, and I guess that goes into not considered. For not considered, we have class rank, recommendations, interview, extracurriculars, character or personal qualities, alumni relation, geographical residence, racial or ethnic status, volunteer work, work experience, and level of interest. Holy cow! That's different. This surprised me so much to find out the UC Riverside doesn't even consider your extracurriculars, your volunteer work, or work experience. Because in my mind, what I thought that all the UCs really cared about that stuff. And I mean, most of them do, but I guess from UC Riverside's perspective, it's just not considered. So now we're going to move on to, last but not least, UC Merced. Under very important, we have rigor, GPA, test scores, and your essay. Makes sense. And then for the things that are important are your extracurriculars and talent or ability. And then under considered, we have recommendations, character or personal qualities, first generation, geographical residence, state residency, volunteer work, and work experience. As you can see, there are a lot of differences in these. I can especially pick out recommendations for UC Merced, it's considered, and for UC Berkeley, but I don't really see it on any of the other ones. And if I remember correctly, when I submitted the UC application, they didn't even ask for letters of rec. So I think there is a different system that goes into that, and if they specifically ask you for a letter of rec or something like that. Now for the things that are not considered. Your class rank, interview, alumni relation, racial or ethnic status, and level of interest. And there you have it. Those are the UC school information, their common data set, what they deem as very important to not considered. I hope this was helpful in understanding the differences between the UCs and will help you throughout your application process. I do have and am making other videos on this that do the same kind of breaking down thing, but for other schools. So make sure to pay attention for that. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications because you want to be aware when I post another video that can help you with your college applications. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.